On this special edition show of WVU News, Beyond the Beltway, Appalachia and Trump's first 100 days, we take a deep dive into how decisions being made at the federal level are impacting people right here in Central Appalachia.
Government agencies across the country are being cut in an effort to reduce the federal budget.
We look at how these layoffs are impacting the economy of rural communities.
And while the Republican majority says they won't cut benefits to seniors, many residents are worried that they won't keep their promise.
And later in the show, the Trump administration is now making it easier to log or drill on nationally protected lands.
Experts say it could have a positive impact on the prices you pay at the pump. But what does that mean for tourism in the state? We'll find out.
These stories and more coming up on our special edition of WVU News.
Welcome to WVU News. I'm Patrick Walsh.
And I'm Jackie Gunther. In this special edition show, we're exploring how the first 100 days of President Donald Trump's administration is affecting local communities.
We start with how Trump's tariff proposals are impacting local jobs.
Our business and economics reporter James Daly joins us in the studio with the story. James?
Thanks, Jackie. Patrick, President Trump has paused most of his international tariffs for another 90 days. But in north central West Virginia, the threat is still having an impact. Tariffs are essentially taxes on foreign goods imported into the U.S., but that cost is usually passed on to the consumer, sending prices up. The Trump administration says they're implementing tariffs to boost manufacturing inside the U.S., but so far it's led to layoffs in dozens of companies, even some right here in West Virginia, where officials say they'll take a toll on local businesses and the taxes that fund critical services. While President Trump has set a baseline of 10% tariffs for most countries, Chinese tariffs of more than 100% took effect on April 9th. Experts say businesses who import goods from China will likely have to increase their prices to cover that cost, while they figure out if they can produce the same products in the U.S.
Thanks, James. In 2023, the U.S. Census Bureau says West Virginians spent 16% of their income on their groceries, Jackie.
That's 4% higher than the national average, Patrick. The state ranked last in per capita income in 2024, which means inflation on things like groceries is taking an even bigger toll here.
Reporter Madison Eli looked into how federal policies are impacting the prices you pay in the checkout line.
With potential cuts to federal programs like Medicaid or Medicare, some West Virginia residents are concerned they will no longer be able to afford their health care.
Reporter Connor White joins us live in the studio to tell us more. Connor?
Thanks, Patrick. Jackie. More than 65 million Americans over the age of 65 rely on Medicare to pay for their medical services. But in West Virginia, more than 75% of nursing homes residents rely on another federal program, Medicaid, to pay their assisted living costs, including nursing homes. While Republicans in the White House and in Congress say that these programs are safe, West Virginians who rely on federal health care are worried they'll be next on the list of federal cuts. President Trump has said he will not cut Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security programs for seniors. But a GOP budget resolution approved this month in the House of Representatives would cut Medicaid by $880 million over the next decade.
Thanks, Connor. On his first day in office, President Trump signed an executive order to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that are federally funded. And that's having an impact on research at institutions of higher education. At least 90 public universities have had grants ended due to the use of DEI language. At WVU, $12 million in research funding from the National Institute of Health and the National Science Foundation has been cut for new and existing research. The grants fund cancer and vascular-related studies. Some university professors say the cuts could set back research in the state for years to come.
The defunding of this, whether it's like NIOSH here in town or it's our graduate students, our health sciences campus, it's like in 4 years it's going to be gone, right? And so like I don't know if you can start over at that point.
The research cuts are part of a plan to reduce federal spending by some $4 billion.
Across the country, organizers have held protests to speak out against those federal cuts, including one right here in Morgantown. Hundreds of people attended a hands-off protest downtown earlier this month. It's part of a national movement, but was organized locally by Mountaineers Indivisible. The Mon County-based group formed in January in an effort to bring local residents together to show their displeasure with federal budget cuts, layoffs, and increasing tariffs.
There are people that have always said, well, I let it up to someone else, and it's affecting them now. And more people, I think, as this goes on, will realize that it is affecting everybody.
West Virginia has seen similar protests in Huntington and Charleston this year.
Federal museums that include minority history are also being reviewed for potential cuts. Activists are worried these changes will impact history centers.
Mercedes Dykes visited 2 West Virginia museums that celebrate Black history and culture and brings us this story.
Coming up, one executive order may lead to more jobs in West Virginia.
And lower prices at the pump. These stories and more after the break. Don't go anywhere. West Virginia's governor is asking lawmakers to pass a bill that opponents say could lead to an increase in the spread of diseases for school-age children. I'm Patrick Walsh.
And I'm Jackie Gunther. A natural disaster in southern West Virginia left 14 of its 55 counties in a state of emergency. Now communities are working to rebuild.
These stories and more coming up on WVU News, an Emmy Award-winning newscast produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University.
The West Virginia Senate has passed a vaccine exemption bill, changing mandates for school-age children.
If passed by the House, the bill will allow for religious and philosophical exemptions.
Our legislative reporter James Daly joins us now to tell us more. James?
Thanks, Jackie. Patrick, the bill comes after Governor Patrick Morrisey signed an executive order in January looking to make the same change. Today in West Virginia, parents can file for medical exemptions to the state's vaccine requirements for their children. But Senate Bill 460, which was approved by the chamber last month, would change that. Republican Governor Patrick Morrisey has asked lawmakers to expand upon these exemptions and join 18 other states that grant philosophical and 47 states that grant religious exemptions. But even some GOP members of the State House disagree with the potential change. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there have been more than 200 measles cases in the U.S. this year. More than 3/4 of those cases are in people under the age of 19, and almost none of them were vaccinated.
Thanks, James. While it's not required to get a flu shot, many healthcare professionals are urging West Virginians to stay up to date on their vaccines this year, Jackie, as the state experiences a surge in positive cases.
Nationally, Patrick, the CDC reported more than 24 million cases so far this flu season, and more than 300,000 of them resulted in hospitalization.
Health reporter Andrew Freed joins us live in the studio to tell us more about how you can stay healthy this flu season. Andrew?
Thanks, Patrick. Jackie, nearly 3,000 flu cases were reported in just 1 week in West Virginia last month. And healthcare workers say the increase in patients is putting a strain on the state's healthcare system. The flu virus affects your respiratory system and spreads through droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes. It can cause symptoms like fever, muscle ache, and fatigue. Infection levels have reached a high across the country not seen for 15 years, since the swine flu outbreak in 2009 and 2010. Medical professionals are urging people to get vaccinated in order to help reduce the surge in hospitalizations.
It does put a significant strain on our resources and our staff here at the hospital. Honestly, what the best thing for us to do is to prevent the flu from happening in the first place through vaccinations, as well as good hand hygiene, things like that nature, to reduce our overall burden.
Locan says you should also avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth to prevent spreading the virus. Doctors say if you do start to experience flu symptoms, do not wait to see a doctor. That could lead to patients experiencing symptoms for even longer.
Thanks, Andrew. According to research by West Virginia University, 94% of the state's communities are in special flood hazard area. That means they're at high risk for flooding.
And last month, Jackie, 14 counties in southern West Virginia experienced devastating floods once again, resulting in a federal disaster declaration.
Energy and environment reporter Reagan Dusman joins us from Studio B at the Media Innovation Center to tell us more about how these communities are rallying together to support people who have lost everything. Reagan?
Thanks, Jackie. Patrick. 3 people were confirmed dead in the southern West Virginia flooding that had several rivers reaching near record levels. More than 100 homes experienced major damage and more than 50,000 people were without power. But almost as soon as floodwaters receded, neighbors, volunteers, and first responders came together to begin the long road to recovery. President Donald Trump's federal disaster declaration means West Virginians impacted by flooding can access financial assistance for temporary housing and home repairs. Patrick, back to you at the Waterfront Studio.
Thanks, Reagan. In 2024, the Biden administration invested more than $1 billion in historically black colleges and universities across the country. The funding supported grants, scholarships, and aid given directly to students. But now, the Trump and Governor Patrick Morrisey administrations are asking these institutions to review their programs under anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion orders. West Virginia State University is one of 2 historically black higher ed institutions in West Virginia, being asked to review their programs. But the university's president says state prides itself in creating a welcoming environment and sense of community for students from all backgrounds.
We are a small community, and we very much are a family, a place where you come, you know you're going to be supported, a place where people, faculty, staff are going to know your name, they're going to call you by your name.
Both of West Virginia's HBCUs, West Virginia State and Bluefield State, serve a larger population of white students than black. State's enrollment is 65% white.
The West Virginia Secretary of State's office reported more than 13,000 small businesses registered to operate in the state last year, but with wages growing by only 1% over the same time period. Small business owners say they're struggling to compete with major retailers that are able to offer cheaper prices. Economics reporter Mason Kinsey spoke with a new Morgantown bookseller and has this story.
Coming up, a program at WVU is helping veterans with disabilities by creating lasting bonds with unlikely friends.
That story and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. According to NASA, competitive robotics has reached an all-time high in participation in West Virginia. Last year, there were more than 500 teams competing across the state, up from just 50 in 2011. The VEX Robotics Tournament held in Morgantown in February put the engineering and coding skills of the middle, high school, and college students on these teams to the test. I attended the competition to learn more about the impact robotics has on hundreds of West Virginia students. Visit the link at the bottom of your screen to learn more about robotics competitions in West Virginia.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the number of veterans with service-related disabilities has increased by 15% since 2008. And about 40% of veterans across the country are not enrolled in the healthcare services the federal government provides. Some nonprofit organizations in West Virginia are working to bridge that gap. Nonprofit reporter Madison Eli introduces us to the Hearts of Gold Service Dog program and one veteran who says it gave him a best friend.
After the break, we'll look at how one local high school basketball team's unique history has helped them succeed on the court.
Our sports team is with us after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. Morgantown High School's boys basketball team has established itself as a dominant force in West Virginia high school sports.
Sports anchor Terrell Thompson joins us now with more on how the Mohegans are continuing to build on their winning tradition. Terrell?
Thanks, Patrick. Jackie. MHS is currently the #2 seed in the WVSSAC 4A standings and sit at #3 in the Greater Pittsburgh area rankings. For 4 decades, Morgantown's high school boys basketball team has been a powerhouse on the hardwood. The team has raised 3 consecutive state championship banners, and with a 50-game home winning streak, they're hungry for a 4th. I took a closer look at this top-ranking team focused on continuing to build their legacy. Morgantown's 2 high schools have a tradition of sending some top athletes on to play collegiate sports as well. 2 of WVU's top tennis players call the city their home. But aside from its 2 Morgantown natives, WVU tennis is made up largely of international players from places like Russia, Spain, and France. Brian McQuillan reports on how head coach Michal Lizats is using that global experience to build a winning culture. In 2022, about 60% of women's collegiate tennis players were international athletes. 4 of WVU's 5 new players on their 2025 roster fit in that category.
Thanks, Terrell. During West Virginia's 5-month ski season, visitors to the state generate an estimated $250 million in revenue.
And Jackie, many resorts are reporting this is their best season in years, with parts of the state experiencing more than 3 times their typical snowfall in January alone.
And all that snowfall, Patrick, has been an opportunity for some of the youngest skiers in the state to further develop their skills. Arts and culture reporter Connor White takes us to Snowshoe Mountain, home of the Forever Wild youth ski team, for more.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of WVU News. I'm Patrick Walsh.
And I'm Jackie Gunther. You can keep up with the latest from WVU News on our website at the bottom of your screen. You can also watch our shows on YouTube and statewide on West Virginia Public Broadcasting on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m.
We also stream on HD Media's website and watch us on KDKA TV out of Pittsburgh on Saturday afternoons.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on WVU News.